What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So it's kind of funny when I was thinking about what I expected to see out of this first match. I was thinking about each one, the goods and the bads of each result. Obviously, if we won, there's a lot more goods and bads, but for the most part, it means we're taking steps in the right direction. We're playing well. We're able to beat a Liverpool team that is hurting after last season. Hasn't really done a whole lot to improve, but for some reason, the media thinks is going to just light up the league this year, end up in the top four easily. I don't know how people see that, but anyways, if we lost, it would be mostly upsetting that we lose at home first match against again a Liverpool that in my opinion hasn't improved that much from last year. But the good side of it would be we could take some positives. We could look at what went wrong and improve from there. A draw has the most amount of just feeling about it because we drew a lot last year as well. And especially against the top four, five, six, it was either losses or draws. So a draw for me, it's not bad. Again, knowing that Liverpool are going to be trying to bounce back after last year, knowing that Klopp is going to be really itching to set the record straight. I I was expecting them to be solid. I was expecting them to be energetic, and especially the way they play. They're a team that can hurt teams that play like us, where we look to try to keep a lot of possession, knock it around the back, and then get the ball downfield from there. So a draw is not a bad result. It's not a great result. It's not that good of a result. It's somewhere in between. There are things to talk about, but for the most part, I still feel kind of unsure about what the season's gonna hold. But let's look at the positives. So for Pochettino, uh, starting off a little bit concerning, going with a 3-4-3. Don't really know why. I'm guessing he wanted to be a little bit more defensive minded because he knows the attack that Liverpool has. And honestly, the attack that Liverpool set up with, it was like three attacking players, and then even his midfield were two mainly attacking players. I don't know much about the new guy that they brought in, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. But seeing their lineup, clearly they were looking to hit us on the break from the start, and that's where they got a lot of their joy. And setting up with that 3-4-3, I think, really hurt us in the first half because James and Chilwell were not really playing as defensive-minded wingbacks. They were playing to get down the field. So whenever Liverpool looked to hit us, James and Chilwell are still behind the play. They're not staying back as much. They're not looking to get back quickly. And so it allowed Liverpool to really get that counter going and attack us when we only have basically our three defenders, and then most of the time we had one midfielder in there. So Pochettino, on the positive side, changed that in the second half. He dropped Reece to be a little bit more of a right back with the license to get forward, but his goal whenever we lost the ball was to be the right back, and Colwell slid out left. Whenever we got forward, he would drop in to be a bit more central, but whenever we lost possession, he became the left back. So on the defense, we had four defenders. Chilwell became more of a wing. Chukwuemeka slid inside a little bit, and then Sterling was the right wing. So it was basically a 4-2-3-1 in defense and a 3-4-3 in the attack. And it looked so much more fluid. It looked much more what I wanted to see from this team. Because, yeah, the first half was a little stop-start. We didn't do great in the beginning, got going near the end of it. But our defense looked very shaky. It looked disorganized, and I think the formation had a lot to do with that. Second half, a lot more concise, a lot more controlled. Didn't really let Liverpool have much until closer to the end whenever all their subs came on. And then that was just they had a lot of young players who are full of fitness and they were just running at us. So it looked more like our legs were giving out more than our organization was struggling. So yeah, I was impressed with that switch. Even the subs that came on, Gusto for James is an obvious one just because James had to go out. Hopefully it's nothing too bad. Hopefully it's just feeling a little bit of tightness. But the next two subs maybe came a little bit later than they should have. But Mudryk and Maatsen on for Sterling and Chukwuemeka is exactly what I wanted to see. It allows, first of all, it gets Sterling off, who at that point wasn't doing much of anything. Chukwuemeka kind of run his race. So bringing the two of those on, though, Mudryk obviously has a lot of pace. He's going to look to get in behind. We're at that point in the game where Liverpool, They're still looking to try to press forward, so there is still a lot of space in behind. Matson, a little bit of a hard worker. He just kind of busted around in the like defensive midfield third for them. And it's just he's a player that's not that dangerous, but he is one that you have to be aware of. You can't dwell on the ball whenever he's in there. So it was a good switch, and then the last one, Ugachukwu, I'm not really sure how to say his name still, but bringing him on for Chilwell, it allows Mudryk to slide out to the left, which allowed him to be a little bit more effective because I think the left side is typically where he does more of his good work. On top of that, he's going up against Alexander-Arnold, who we know is not the greatest defender. So that really allowed him to have a little bit more time and space to break into. And it switched things up a little bit because it became a little bit more of a 4-3-3 in the attack and defense with Matson and Mudryk, and then it's kind of Fernandez and Ugachukwu holding a bit more, and then Gallagher kind of being the box-to-box. So, yeah, I thought his tactics, a little concerning in the first half, but he fixed it, he made the adjustments, and we looked better in the second half because of it. And I thought, on the whole of it, we looked the better team. We had the moments that we could have won. We had several more of those moments than Liverpool did. And obviously the big one at the end that Mudryk just took a little too far wide. But overall, I thought we looked better than Liverpool today. And that does give me some hope. Again, disappointing that we couldn't find the net, disappointing we couldn't find the killer goal, because that is something we've struggled with not just last year, year before that, the year before that. We've had that problem for a little while. So hopefully that's something that Pochettino can find the answer for. But at least in the second half, it looked like he figured out how to fix our defense to make us look a lot more solid against a team with a lot of solid attacking players in Liverpool. As far as the individuals are concerned, Sanchez, first game in goal, first game for us at all. Didn't play at all in preseason because we brought him in after. So on that note, it was okay. Obviously a little shaky. The one save that he had to make, he didn't. At least that I can think of. I don't think he saved any today. He looked okay collecting it, on crosses, on corners and stuff. Distribution still could use a little bit of work, but I didn't expect him to just come in and instantly be starting. I didn't expect us to just get rid of Kepa. I kind of expected it to be the two of them fighting it out for the starting spot. So I'm not really sure how I feel about that, and I'll talk about that whenever the transfer window wraps up and I can talk about the transfers as a whole. But yeah, it was a little weird to see him instantly just thrown in this first match. But with that in mind, it wasn't a terrible debut. There were a couple that were just wide of the post that I thought if they had been on target, he would have gotten a hand to it. So, looked okay. Definitely the pass to the midfield that Nunez didn't receive his pass well and ended up giving it to him. That is concerning, and that's something that hopefully he'll cut out of his game quickly. But all in all, as far as his keeping was concerned, it looked okay. Talk about, I guess, the three that started off in defense first. Disasi on the right side, obviously also thrown right into it. Got him after preseason was over, so didn't have a chance to see him at all. But I thought he did okay. He looked okay defensively. He made some good challenges. There were a couple times, though, where it felt like he lost track of his runner a little bit. But that was mainly in the first half. And again, I think part of that was just down to he didn't know, like on the goal, for example, he doesn't realize that Diaz is behind him. Part of that is he's not looking to see. The other part of it is he probably thinks James is picking up the wing that's coming out here. And James also doesn't tell him that Diaz is behind him. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both. He needs to do better at tracking. James needs to do better at communication. But I thought overall he was fine. Obviously, he got the goal that equalized it for us, so it was a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Awareness to be switched on, so when Chilwell heads it back in, he's ready to pounce on it. But overall, it was a good debut. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I'm glad we picked up what looks like a very solid defender, considering that it seems like Fofana's out for a while, and Badiashile, who knows when he's going to come back or if he's going to be fully fit. Chalobah also out injured right now, so he was definitely a good pickup because we needed to pad our defense a little bit more because we seem to have a lot of error-prone defenders, and Silva also is nearly 39 years old, so he's not going to be able to play every match. Colwill also coming into the club for the first time. We'll see what he's capable of, but Silva in the middle looked his typical self. Read the game very well, made a lot of great challenges. Doesn't look like he's lost much of a step from last season, so glad to see that, because as long as he's there and as long as he's available and can continue doing what he did today and what we've seen him do over the past 2 seasons, absolutely stick with him, because he is such a good defender, and there's so much more to his game than just being a good tackler, distributor. He reads the game so well. His positioning is so solid. Again, it's why those are the defenders that I like. I don't like the Van Dijks that are just big and strong and fast and they're able to outrun everybody. But you look at how they defend and you look at the positioning, and a lot of the time they're caught out. They're just able to make up that ground. I prefer the Silvas. I prefer the Terrys, the ones that they read the game and they're already in position to make the challenge. And then Colwill on the left side, I thought looked a little out of his element in the first half, but again, I think part of that is just we weren't very organized in the first half. The formation was new. I don't think we really knew what we were doing defensively. Second half, when he was a bit more of a left back and then center back whenever we were in possession, I thought he looked a lot better. On the ball, pretty solid, had some good moments to get the attack going forward, got out of some tight situations. Defensively, I thought he made some good challenges, but also made some mistakes. So it was a bit of a mixed bag for him, but a lot of promising elements to his game that I am excited to see more of him this season. And it seems like we are keeping him. We are looking to implement him into the team. So I'm excited to see more of him. I think he'll do well. He just needs a little bit more time to grow into this team and really find out what Pochettino wants him to do, and also be prepared to play against a lot of these teams whenever he's not, because I'm pretty sure he was at Brighton the last year. Year before that, I think he was in the championship. I'm sure he's used to a lot more kind of sitting back and then defending and then getting it forward quickly. We're obviously a team that tends to keep a lot of possession, so he's going to have to adjust his thinking to that style of play. James on the right side. In the attack, he looked fine. Defensively, in the first half, mainly, he looked a little shaky. He wasn't tracking runs very well. Second half, whenever he dropped in a bit more, I thought he did okay. And he's got the capability the physical capability to keep up with a lot of these guys and the strength to really keep hold of the ball well. But there are still those moments where it feels like he sort of fades out of the play. He's just sort of standing over there waiting instead of trying to make a run or trying to find space to really open up the play a bit more. Some of that is because of whoever's on the ball taking too much time, but I don't know. I feel like he's the type of player where if he really pushed himself, he would be so effective. Today, he was kind of effective, but not what I expect from him. Not enough for the type of player that he is, very much like his sister. So hopefully Pochettino can bring that best out of him. Again, hopefully whatever he was feeling was just tightness. It wasn't anything like a pull or a tear or anything. So we'll see what happens. But obviously he's had his issues with injuries as well. So we've got to hope that he keeps himself fit, because past him we don't have much. Chilwell on the left side, I thought looked very effective. Obviously got himself the assist, nearly got himself a goal, if not for VAR catching his offside. But yeah, looks really good. I remember reading a quote from him that he said he was willing to run through a wall for Pochettino. So he's clearly bought into this system and bought into what Pochettino's trying to do with this club. Getting everybody motivated, getting everybody playing for each other. I see a lot of that from what Chilwell is doing right now. So, yeah, he looked very effective down the left side, especially in the second half when he was allowed to be a lot more of a forward player. He didn't have to get back as much as the left wing back. He really had the time and space to get out there and cause some danger. So, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. I want to see more. Hopefully he keeps himself fit too, because he's another one that's dealt with a lot of injuries. Because if he does, he's going to be a great option out there. In the midfield, Fernandez and Gallagher, Gallagher I'll start with just because he was a little bit more of a mixed bag as well. Defensively, he looked okay. He made some great challenges, made some great tackles, made a couple of great blocks. He's a very energetic player. He's all around. We've seen this from him time and time again. On the ball, very shaky still. And this is something that whenever Potter was trying him as a more holding mid last year, this is part of why I didn't see him in that role. Because whenever he's on the ball, he's a little too slow, he's not quite strong enough. It's a little too easy for people to pick the ball off of him and in a dangerous area as well. So I see him a lot more as a more attacking mid because his same energy up there can be dangerous for that back line. He's willing to run you down, make good challenges. He reads the game pretty well, so he can make good blocks and interceptions. And then if he gives away possession up there, it's not quite as dangerous. So little concerned that he's still being seen as a more holding mid. I just don't really think that's his game. I don't think he's good enough on the ball to be a holding mid. But again, the part of his game whenever he's not in possession, I think does make him effective in there at times. So it's very up in the air. Because we tend to keep a lot of possession, I don't feel like he's going to be effective. But if we do seem to be a lot more getting the ball down the field quickly, and he's much more of I'm going to run people down in the midfield than having to keep possession, who knows? Maybe he could end up being a lot more effective than I'm thinking he will. Fernandez, though, for me, probably the most surprising performance. Because I think Jackson, we saw him in preseason. We know what he's capable of. We know the type of player he is. And he kept that up today. He still looked very effective. Fernandez, for me, though, this is the best he has looked in a Chelsea shirt. He's looked okay over the past season or half a season that we've had him. He's looked okay. He's done decently in the midfield, keeps the ball moving pretty well. A slight step up from Jorginho only because he looks a little bit more forward with his passes. But he still had those moments of it felt like he was on the ball too long or he's a little too easy to get the ball poked off of him. And that's just something, again, Jorginho did that too. So I was hoping that he would improve on that. And today we saw that. I mean, there's so many times where somebody's pressuring him and he just does a little, quick in out and he's gone. And he's past him. And it's so many times that happened today. And I'm thinking, man, he is on fire. This is the player that I was hoping we were going to get to improve upon what Jorginho could be. Because he's so quick with his feet. He gets out of pressure quickly. And his passing is still very solid. It's forward. It's progressive. He's getting the ball out wide quickly so that we can drive down the line. This is the player that I wanted us to get. And I'm glad we finally get to see that from him. Now, of course, we need more consistency because this was just one match, and honestly, even in preseason, he didn't quite look this good. So we need him to be doing this more often, but if he does, he's going to be probably... it's almost like we just got a new signing with him because of what a great player he looks right now. Up into the front, kind of three. Sterling on the right was okay in the first half. Second half, when he dropped off, he really dropped off. It felt like sending the ball to him was essentially just giving Liverpool the ball because he would either take too long on the ball and get it poked off of him, or we'd have to go back and that would allow Liverpool to step up and put pressure, and then we'd have to go long with it and lose possession. So second half really fell off. First half, though, looked pretty good. Combined well with James, the quickness, the pace that we saw from him at Man City. We got to see a little bit of that today. So I hope he can keep this up because I think that it would be more what we need from him right now because we don't really need the little in-out, trying to take on players on the dribble. He's not really that type of player, at least right now. We saw some of that at Man City, but I think where he's really effective is whenever he is playing the 1-2s. He's this little player that can kind of get in, dart out, pass around a defender and get around him really quickly. I think that's where he's most effective at the moment. So if he can do more of that, I feel like that's what his game is at the moment. So we'll see if he can improve upon this. But definitely, it was more of a tale of two halves for him. I really feel like second half, I don't really remember much from him, and I thought probably around 60 or 65 he should have been subbed. Chukwuemeka, it was kind of a surprise inclusion for me just because I didn't really see a whole lot from him in preseason. Obviously, last season he looked to be one of our better players, but mainly because I think I said this in the video I just released, but last season the energy levels were so low that a player like Chukwuemeka, who's just very energetic and very quick and looking to just close people down, looking to make stuff happen, he looked really good. Preseason, it looked like everybody had found that, and so the talent level had put them up here, and he was still about here. He's still energetic. He's still got that life, that fire to fight and take people on, but the talent level isn't quite there yet. He's pretty good on the ball, pretty good with dribbling, but it's not quite good enough for what we need right now. And there were several moments where it felt like the play died in the first half from him. You know, it was a bad touch or it was a bad pass from him, and then Liverpool have possession now. So I feel like he's definitely got to improve, but I'm glad Pochettino's given him a chance to see what he can do first. Because I feel like last season it was very much oh yeah, we'll give Chukwuemeka a few minutes, and then like 10 games later, oh yeah, Chukwuemeka's still here. Let's throw him on, see what he can do now that we're 2-0 down. And then he comes on and looks our best player. So Pochettino definitely seems to trust the younger players a bit more and willing to give them a chance to prove what they can do. And I'm excited to see that because there are some younger players that I feel like are effective, and Pochettino I think can bring the best out of them over the next few seasons, hopefully. So Chukwuemeka is one that I think give him some time to grow, give him some time to improve, and I think he could be a very effective attacking mid for us. And then Jackson up top, I already talked about him a little bit, but yeah, he's a player. He, in my opinion, is the best striker we've had since Costa. So strong, so fast. His willingness to run, his willingness to be on the ball and make things happen. Finishing obviously wasn't great today, but he's getting in the right spots. He's putting himself in the right moments, and yeah, I love what I see from him. I want to see more because this is the type of striker that we've lacked for a while. Giroud was the best one that we've had since Costa, but he didn't have that pace to really trouble a lot of these back lines. He just had the strength and the height and the finishing, of course. But I mean, you look at Abraham, he was pretty fast, but his finishing wasn't great and his strength wasn't great. Werner, kind of same thing, very pacey, but not that strong, and finishing obviously wasn't great. Jackson looks like he's the complete package. Aside from the finishing, which in preseason we saw some good finishes, so hopefully it's just kind of the pressure of the moment. He's still not quite in his groove yet. Hopefully that will come along, but definitely the strength, the pace, and the height, he has those three. The finishing is the only thing that we're lacking at the moment. So hopefully he can get that soon. As far as the subs that came on, Gusto was the first one, again for James. And a little concerned about Gusto. Obviously, this was a tough game to come into because it's very fast pace. Liverpool are a very quick team. They put a lot of high pressure on you. But very concerning debut for him. Not really good on the ball. His energy seems okay, but it was a huge drop-off. Like when James went off, it felt like our attack fell off as well, because James was kind of the focal point for a lot of the stuff. So now that we're going out to Gusto, it felt like he's giving the ball away too easily, or he's just constantly going backwards with it. So I'm worried we just picked up another Cucurella. Now granted, I don't think we spend as much on him as we did on Cucurella, but I was really hoping for a backup for James. We'd have a little bit more excitement out of him. Or even, what Azpilicueta was, where he's a good defender, but obviously Azpilicueta on the attack was not that great. But even on the defense, Gusto just seemed to be a little weak, didn't really hold up his challenges very well, kind of got drawn out of position a couple times. So, I don't know. Obviously, first game, debut, came into a rough game. Maybe he'll get better, but early signs are a little concerning for me. Maatsen and Mudryk coming on. Mudryk had some good moments. He did start out on the right side, which I think was a little hindering for him. I think he's better at driving down the left because he can put it on his dominant foot and keep it away from the defender, basically. So once he went out there, he looked a little bit better. Obviously, disappointment that he missed that final chance. But overall, I thought he looked fine. Very energetic. I thought he should have come on sooner for Sterling. Maatsen looked to be a little bit out of his element today. I think he's still got potential. I think he's a hard worker. But today we really got to see that the strength and the pace of the Premier League seems a little too much for him right now. So I want to see more of what he can do. I want to see if Pochettino can bring out that side of him that can be effective, kind of roughing it up and getting down and dirty in the midfield. But yeah, early signs are a little concerning for him too, because he did not really seem like he was up for it today. He didn't seem like he was able to keep up with the pace of the game. And then Ugachukwu was the final one, and he was just kind of a last minute introduction. Again, it pushed Mudryk out to the not to the right, out to the left, pushed Gallagher up a little bit more, and he kind of sat in a little bit deeper. He was the one that we picked up a little bit later. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be more of a defensive midfielder, but if he is, like to see more of him, because that's kind of what we're lacking at the moment. But we'll see more of him, hopefully, as the season goes on. Early signs, he did okay. I think he made a couple defensive headers that were decent. But all in all, again, it was a good first game. Not a great one, not a bad one. It was just somewhere in the middle. Just moments of excitement, moments of we're playing well, we're knocking the ball around well. The pace of the game, the energy that we showed, it does get me excited for the season. It does make me feel like Pochettino is pushing us in the right direction. But there are some moments that concern me whenever we're going to face probably better teams. Because again, I still don't think Liverpool have really rebuilt from last season. I still see a lot of the players that we saw last season that were problems, that weren't good enough, and they've only brought in two. And one of them, in my opinion, McAllister, we'll see how he does, but I didn't think he was. Again, there were several Brighton players that left Brighton, and I don't think really stack up when you put them on better, higher teams like Chelsea, like Liverpool, like Tottenham. You send them to those teams, I don't think they're going to be as well. Even Trossard, at Arsenal, I don't think he's going to do quite as well as he was doing at Brighton. Like, they're good players, but I don't think they fit outside of that system, and so I just don't see Liverpool as really challenging much this season. They might make a Europe spot, but I think they're going to struggle. So for us to best them but not beat them, it's good. It's a step in the right direction that we seem to be the better team today, but we got to beat teams like this. We got to beat, especially at home, we got to win those games. We got to find that final chance, just when Mudryk's through on goal. We've got to score those chances. Because if not, there are going to be several moments, several games like this where we were the better team, we should have won, we didn't win, and now all of a sudden, we're looking outside, looking in at Europe. But we'll see what happens from here. Those are all my thoughts on today, though, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game? What were your thoughts on all the individuals? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.